Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about Liverpool Football Club because they're a team that I highly respect. They're one of the biggest teams in the world. I respect them very much. But right now, there's a lot of question marks around them. Will they have a good season? Will they have a bad season? How will they do in Europe? There's a lot of question marks around Liverpool right now. And as of recently, they signed Ronald Araujo on loan from Barcelona with a buy option, right? And this is not a signing that you expect from Liverpool. This is such a weird signing because no one really rates him. No one really likes him. He's very mistake prone, and they haven't really signed anyone. They haven't made any moves. They've lost Salah. Their players get older. They lost Robertson, but they just haven't seemed to grasp the idea of an actual team, of building the team right. They have Gakpo. They have Rio and Gamoa. They have players. They're left wingers, and then they go onto the market, and now they're going for Barcola, who's another left winger. So they're just in a weird spot, and I really want to talk about them, right? Because I've seen a lot of people talk. I've seen people say they're gonna be out of the top four, top five race, Champions League. I'm seeing people that they might show up out of nowhere because of Iraola. And look, Iraola is a manager that I really like. I really like Iraola. I like the football he plays. He's very fun. He's very exciting. But then we see some of the press conference from the preseason, and he's coming out saying they can only run for 30 minutes. And that is crazy to me because when I got into the Prem, Liverpool City were the main teams that were in the Prem, right? I got to the Premier League pretty late, but that what we knew about Liverpool was they're exciting, they outwork you, they outrun you, they were so energetic, and they will destroy teams in the first 30 minutes and just demolish them throughout the rest of the game, right? That's what I know of Liverpool, right? They would just outwork, outrun, destroy teams, demolish them. But then Iraola comes out with this group of players and says that they can't run or press or just run for 30 minutes. And that to me is embarrassing. It is very embarrassing. And I'm pretty sure some of the players can, right? Like Soboslai, I'm pretty sure he can. Gravenberch, he's always been someone that's very fit. Kirkis, he's someone that's very athletic. And Frimpong, maybe. But then you look at the other ones and it kind of makes sense to me. Isaac came from a World Cup. Florian Wirtz, and these aren't excuses, right? But Isaac, Florian Wirtz, McAllister. Then you look at different players, maybe the center backs, Jaquet, maybe Ronald Araujo is pretty much an athlete, but Virgil van Dijk hasn't even integrated himself, I'm pretty sure. But there's just a lot of players that it just makes sense because they haven't really done that under Arne Slot. They've 2 years for under Arne Slot. And the way they play so slow, so boring. So I'm not really too surprised that they ended up being what that Iraola says they can't even run because they haven't done any of that for the last 2 years. And that is something that's very crazy because yes, they won the Prem in that first year. But again, even in that first year, towards the end, they got slower. They weren't running the same. They weren't pressing the same. They weren't defending. The intensity just wasn't there for them. And for Iraola, if they have, I think they might have a slow start because by itself, Iraola with his teams, it takes him a while to get them going, right? And especially with this Liverpool team, isn't built for pressing and counter-attacking and just all-out intensity football. You look at their midfield, Soboslai could do it. Curtis Jones, I don't think he could do it. McAllister, I don't think he could do it. Gravenberch, I think Gravenberch could probably do that. All out intensity, pressing, having the ball, and just being such an intense team. That is what Iraola's teams are usually built for. Under Bournemouth, you have Ryan, you have Krupi, you have Alex Scott in midfield. You have so many players that are very energetic, very intense. And then you go to this team, and they're just kind of a slow team. Curtis Jones isn't the most intense or the best of in that realm, right? And I just think they have Gakpo, they have Rio. Why do you need another left winger? Victor Munoz could play on the left. He can play on the right as well, but some of his moments have been on the left. Even in preseason, he's been playing on the left. And then he's played Rio on the right, but why not try and go for a right winger? Why not buy another midfielder? Why not buy a solid center back? Araujo is anything but a solid center back. He had his moments, right? And for Barcelona, he had his moments where he shined. He was one of the best center backs. He was very sought after. But then over the past 3 years, he has shown nothing. He's shown mistake on mistake on mistake. He loses the ball. He's not the best on the ball. He lacks defensive awareness. And then you can even see in the Barcelona Inter game where Inigo goes out, Ronald Araujo goes in, they concede 2 goals off the bat. And I don't know what's going to happen with Liverpool. I genuinely don't know because, yes, They have very good. They have Isaac Ekitike, some of the best striking options you could have in the world. He's like injury prone. Ekitike, he's out till February probably. You know, he had a very bad injury. He's out for a long time. So if Isak is very injury prone, let's say he gets injured in the first 2 months. Hopefully he doesn't. You know, I don't wish injury on anyone. But if he does, what's gonna happen there? Gakpo on top with Rio and then Victor Munoz that aren't too experienced. Like Liverpool Football Club, they used to be a team that I felt like they were ran very well. They were ran with smartness. If they couldn't get their player, they get a player that fits the system that works well, and then they'll move on. Right? I thought that's what Endo was gonna be. Right? I thought Endo was gonna be a stopgap for someone else. I thought Endo was gonna be there for a year or two, and then they'll go out and buy another solid Premier League midfielder or even like a world class midfielder. You know, spend some money on that. But no, they haven't even done that either. So for going into this summer, I thought Liverpool would need a right back, a center back or two, another midfielder or a right winger, and maybe even like even a striker, right? But by the looks of it, things are just not looking too hopeful for them. You know, I know I've heard a lot of Liverpool fans and they have a lot of question marks. A lot of question marks. They trust their manager. They trust certain players like the Sobos, like the Van Dijks. You know, when you hear them talk about Liverpool, those are some of the main players. The Alisson, what if he has a good season again? You know, then you have Van Dijk. Then you have Sobos. Like Gravenberch is very solid as well. But going forward, and who the person is right next to Van Dijk? Yes, Jacket could be a very good center back. Leone could come back and be one of the best center backs. But then you still look at Kirkis and Simicas at left back. You look at Connor Bradley and Frimpong at right back. That just smells of a disaster season. You know, that just reeks of a disaster season. If they end up getting Barcola and then end up getting another midfielder, then things can maybe shape up a little bit for them. Because as much as I've said that they need to go for a right winger, Barcola and Leon played at right wing, you know. And Victor Munoz could play at right wing. Then you think about Rio, he's young, he could develop. And I've always said that if you're a good winger, you can play on either side. You can adapt, you know, you can adapt. If you're a right-footed player and you play on the left wing because you like to cut and shoot and do all of that, then if you could go on the right and drive past to all the way to the line and cross, then it's just adapting, you know. And I've always said if you're a good winger, you can adapt. Kind of like Rafinha, you know, he could play on the right, he could play on the left. Even like you could say Vinny has a lot of the time, like Rodrigo and Vinny. Some when they were playing on top, they would rotate so much. And if you're a very talented winger, you could play on either side. The PSG players, you know, the PSG players can play anywhere because they're good players. They're very amazing and great players, you know. So I've always said that great wingers can adapt either left or right. But these are very young wingers, you know. You look at Rio, you look at Victor Munoz, you look at Barcola, who hasn't been an out and out starter. Then you look at the midfield. To me, it seems like a very slow, unathletic midfield. You look at they've been missing a DM since Fabinho. They haven't gotten a DM since Fabinho. Yes, Gravenberch had a good year. But to me, he's more of an eight. You know, he's more of a progressive eight than a six. You know, than a dictator or a person that breaks up play. Gravenberch is very good at breaking up play, but I've been saying they need a six. And I still keep that. You know, Victor Munoz is a player that I really like. I thought Real Madrid would keep him. I really like Victor Munoz, but at Real Madrid we have so many players already that Victor Munoz just wouldn't be fit in. So I'm glad that he went to a team like Liverpool. But then you could have maybe they could have bought a midfield by now. The Premier League starts in what, a week and in 2 weeks. The Prem starts in 2 weeks, and they still need a midfielder. They still need fullbacks. They still need a right winger. Will Isak not get injured until Ekitike comes on? That's what, like 4 or 5 months of Isak not being injured. Because if he does, yes, Gakpo could play up there, but then it's just gonna be a mess. But now I want to talk about Iraola because I already mentioned how he plays. I already mentioned how much I like him, and he's kind of experienced with this type of setup, right? Where he has a lot of things to work with. He has a lot of problems to figure out. But it's just Iraola to me. He's next up. You know, you look at the manager landscape. You look at managers that are coming up, young managers. I think he's one of them. I think if things go right, if things go Iraola's way, and he gets more backing, and he gets the players that fit his system, and the players that that fit what Iraola wants to do, I think this can make a lot of sense. I think Iraola fits Liverpool more than Xavi Alonso. I just said Xavi Alonso should have gone to Liverpool, but I think style wise, well, Liverpool was under club, and the Liverpool fans got so used to club that they want to see that type of football again. Iraola is a perfect manager for that compared to Xavi Alonso, right? But I just think he has a lot to work with. And the thing with Bournemouth, right? He did this at Bournemouth, but I just think Bournemouth have a simpler plan when it comes to their team. You know, no matter the manager that goes to Bournemouth, I think they have a plan to a very good recruitment plan for the players they bring into them. You know, they brought in Krupi out of nowhere, they brought Ryan out of nowhere, Alex Scott. Like these are some very talented players that are. It's due to how Bournemouth work and the recruitment plan they have. But he has a lot to work with, and he needs some of his players to have some of their best seasons for them to get to Champions League. I truly believe that he needs a lot of these players to have some of their best seasons for them to end up being top four, you know, because top five isn't always guaranteed for Champions League, right? But I think they'll probably get Champions League. Top five will be Champions League, but let's say top four for now, right? Because nothing is secured at this moment. He needs a lot of their players to have very good seasons in order to get top four, you know, because you look at the Premier League landscape, Arsenal is set for first place. Unless something crazy happens, they're set for first place. City, for me, is set for second place. You know, I think the players they have, no matter the manager, with the players they have, the identity they have, the leaders they have, I think they're set for second place. I think third place is going to be a toss up between Chelsea and someone else like a United or a Spurs. Because right, you gotta think about it, right? Last season was a season where teams could probably get Champions League, even though they probably don't deserve to be up there, right? They deserved it in the season, but when it comes to the grand scheme of the club, a lot of teams maybe could have made Champions League, right? You saw Bournemouth could have made Champions League. You even saw Sunderland up there in European positions, right? Not Champions League, but you know what I mean when it comes to that, right? But this season, Spurs under De Zerbi are making a very good plan. They have very good players. They have De Zerbi is a manager I highly rate. If you watch my channel, Xabi Alonso under Chelsea with the players they have under Xabi Alonso, things should go well. Man United have made some all right signings. I'll probably make a Man United video because I think they've been very lackluster this summer. But again, they're back to it. You know, they're a very solid team. I don't think they will drop beneath sixth place. I think Man United under Carrick with the players they have a floor, right? They have a floor. I think the floor is sixth place. I don't think they'll go under that. Then you even look at teams like Aston Villa and the Unai Emery is always there. Spurs, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Man United. These are teams that are going to be there. So it's going to be tough for Liverpool to get top four, you know. But I just think Iraola has experience playing with having players getting like having little missing spots and just getting the best out of players. That's something that Liverpool fans should expect of Iraola, getting the best out of players. You know, I have a very good feeling he's gonna get the best out of Gravenberch and the best out of Soboslai and the best out of Victor Munoz and the best out of Rio and the best out of some maybe even Kirk, because I think Kirk is gonna get used to it again. You know, so I just think it could either be a solid season, not something crazy for Liverpool. I think it would either be a solid season, maybe a cup run, maybe a Champions League run. I think they might just go trophyless, even because even in the later stages, I don't think if Liverpool don't get buy players this summer, and then in January they don't get more players or more backup, I think they could have a slow end to the season. I think they could have a very negative way to the season. But I don't think the Liverpool fans would turn on Iraola. I think they would turn on more like the sporting directors because they haven't really planned anything. Nothing seems planned for Liverpool right now, which is crazy to say compared to like the club era and even under Slot, there was some plan to it. You know, if one player left, they'll bring another Premier League proven player and put him there. You know, but Liverpool need to expect a lot from their players. You know, Florian Wirtz needs to have a very good season. Isak has to have a very good season with no injuries. Victor Munoz has to have a very good debut season, which is crazy. You know, to expect that much from a debutant is I think is crazy and terrible planning from Liverpool. I rate Victor Munoz very highly, but expecting such a big season for a debutant is kind of a very bad planning. Then you look at Rio and Gamal. You expect a very good season from him, a very good season from Gakpo. You expect the midfielder and expect them to have a very good play. If they sign Barcola, you expect them to have a very good season as well. Like, there's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of question marks. And I don't if it's a bad season, Liverpool fans won't blame me, Iraola. I'm pretty certain on that. They will go towards the sporting directors, but there's a lot of question marks for Liverpool. Too many question marks. But I do think they have. I think they could finish sixth or they could finish third. You know, it's gonna be such a fun season. I'm very excited for the Premier League. If you can't tell, I'm very excited to see how things go because it's gonna be a very interesting season because there's question mark whether I know it's Xabi Alonso. I know Chelsea. They've made a lot of signings, but there's question marks on Chelsea. There's question marks on United with 2 games a week. There's question marks on Spurs if they're attackable. They sign more attackers. There's question marks on Liverpool. Well, there's question marks on City. It's just gonna be such an entertaining season. I'm ready for it, but part of me thinks that Liverpool will be a solid team. I think they'll be solid. But the other part of me really thinks they're going to struggle. So I'm very curious to see that. Make sure to like and subscribe because there's more content to come. I have a lot to talk about even relegation teams, even mid-table teams. Fulham. I'm gonna make a video on Fulham. Yes, on Fulham. Their team I'm very excited for. Chelsea's the team very excited for. There's a lot to be excited for in this Premier League season. So make sure to like and subscribe because a lot is coming. A lot is coming.